Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is my review for Being Mary Jane from yesterday. This is season 4, episode 15, filling hashtags. First things first, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It does not cost you anything. It just lets you know when I have new content and new reviews on my channel. So if you watch my reviews quite often, if you kind of watch them on a regular basis, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't watch them on a regular basis, but you like my videos, go ahead and subscribe. You know what? Just go ahead and subscribe. You can also like my videos and share my videos. There's also a comment section at the bottom. Yes, I'm always fixing stuff. Don't even judge me. So the comment section at the bottom, you can always throw your comments in. Just remember to please be respectful to myself and also to anyone else who is commenting. I think I said my last review, I think it was, how, I don't know how much I like this season of Being Mary Jane. I didn't even really watch it last night. I had to rewatch it today after I got home from work. And it was a few parts that I had missed because I just wasn't paying attention. Like, it just didn't really... I'll go over it and then you can see what I mean. So, the episode starts off with Mary Jane and Dustin on the phone talking. And, of course, he is still out of town. And, she's still in town, kind of reeling from the part that she figured out that he's worth like $30 million. Basically because she saw his bank statement. So she's trying to see if he can spend a little bit of money, to try to see if she can get them to have the conversation. So, they're talking about how they miss each other, and she's saying, well, yeah, maybe we should take a vacation. Just a little getaway. A little vacation, somewhere. And then she suggests this, very, very expensive place where, like, the Obamas have been and everyone loves it. And he's like, Mary Jane, that costs like $30,000 a day. That's, too expensive. No. And then she's like, well, okay, well, let's go to, I think she said, like, the Hamptons. So, of course, that plan didn't work. So, yeah, that was the opening scene. Next, we see Niecy catches, Mary Jane's mom, Helen, her grandma. And she's basically just working out to the, some old workout takes. She's in her lane on her little leotard with her little gym shoes and sneakers on. And, old grandma getting down. You know what I'm saying? She's stretching it out and everything. And Niecy like, Grandma, what is you doing? Like, where did you even find that old ass leotard? And she's like, well, baby, I saw, Sister Pearl. I'm making up the name Sister Pearl because she said the name of an older woman. And I'm just assuming the girl's name was Sister Pearl. Well, I saw Sister Pearl at church, a couple weeks ago, and she looked good for her age. So, I feel like I gotta get in shape too. Can't let Sister Pearl show me up. So, she like, I'm trying to look good, basically. I'm trying to look younger. And she's like, well, okay, don't throw out your back now, Grandma. And Grandma was, getting down and bending and flexing and being all kind of, you do know the woman who plays her mother is Suge Avery from The Color Purple. Hey, sister, you've been on my mind. I can't believe I did that on camera. I'm so sorry, I got caught up. But yeah, she plays Suge Avery. So in my mind, I still see her. You know what I'm saying? It's, you show is ugly. I can still see that in her. But yeah, whatever. Anywho, the next thing that we see is Mary Jane at the office, and we see that her and Kara are back to being friends. Yes, their friendship is back. Not that I am happy on. Kara's father has since passed away. If you remember the last episode, it did have Mary Jane going to check on her at the hospital. She was in, her father was sick, so he has since passed away, and they have since became back friends. I like that they're back friends. I think, when you are friends with someone, y'all go through ups and downs. You get mad at the person, but if you're truly friends, you can get over it, and you all make up. So, she's like, I got some gossip for you. What would you do if, I told you someone had money and, it was a secret? And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, what if I told you it was Justin? Justin has $30 million. She shows her a screen, a photo that she took of the bank statement showing $30 million in his account. And, she's like, how did you find this? How did you find out? While I was snooping, I found an envelope and I kind of looked at it, and that's the whole thing. And she's like, what should I do? So Kara tells her, you need to just wait it out. Eventually he'll bring it up. And knowing you'll get him to bring it up in some kind of way. Don't bring it, don't make it an issue, because eventually that conversation will, what happened. And Mary Jane's like, wouldn't it be great? This is crazy. And Kara's like, what? She was like, we could both end up with millionaires, because Justin is a millionaire, and also Kara's boyfriend, the baseball player, he's, a millionaire. So that was the whole scene. We see Niecy, who goes to the babysitter's house. Now, if I recall, I think the babysitter might be, I don't know, and I don't feel like going back to look at her the earlier season. For some reason, I feel like she is his baby's. I feel like the babysitter is Niecy's youngest baby daddy's other baby mama. And I was thinking, like, because I know when they had the whole scene where she had bought them the car, he let the other baby mama use it, and her and Niecy ended up having a conversation and saying how they would let their kids kind of hang out together and they won't be mad at each other. So I think she's actually the baby's mom. The other daddy, the baby daddy, you know what I mean? And they're like sharing babysitting, basically. But she looked like the girl, but I don't know. She might just be a babysitter. I'm not sure, but that's what I thought she was. Anywho, so, Niecy gets to the babysitter's house. And the girl is like, well, don't open the refrigerator. And Niecy's like, why? She's like, oh, because, the lights are cut off. They cut off my electricity. She's like, why would you, how did that happen? And she's like, well, I was low on money. I had to pick between bills. So, that bill didn't get paid. And so Niecy like, I can't have my kids over here in a house that don't have power. And the girl like, well, I got a cooler. Just put their lunches in the cooler. I mean, on one thing, in life, things happen. And, sometimes when you're struggling, you do have to pick between the bill. I've luckily never had to pick between the bill. I might have just had to pay all the bills and be broke. You know what I'm saying? I've had that happen before. But Niecy acting like, how can it get to this point? You don't have rent to pay, Niecy. You live with your grandparents. So I think on some level, Niecy is ignorant to the fact of it's expensive living on your own with kids. Sometimes you do have to pick between paying rent, paying one bill over the other. Sometimes that is just a thing that goes along with it. But she was talking like, I can't believe you let this happen. And she's like, well, how does, things happen. And Niecy pulls out some money from her purse. Like, how much will it cost to get the lights back on? And she's like, damn, Niecy, we get all that money from that big wad of cash. And he's like, well, no, it's just my tips. And it's actually just a big wad because it's all in ones. And she's, taking out money to give to the girls to pay the light bill. And the girl's like, oh, thanks so much. Thanks for doing this for me. And she's like, I'm not doing this out of the kindness of my heart. I'm doing it because, I need this baby sharing, thing to work. Basically meaning I need you to watch my kids. I don't want them here with no lights on. So I'm really doing this to help me more than help you. Whatever. And, we have that whole scene. Next we see MJ's back at the office. And she finds out that her whole housewarming party that was supposed to kind of spotlight the whole company being one big happy family benefited the girl Danny, the outspoken Caucasian co-host. It got her more as being the star of the moment. And, so she's kind of frustrated with that. But at the same time, Kara has found a story that Mary Jane can kind of delve into and get her kind of back out there in the streets as a reporter. It's about a school board who is trying to cut funds from a public school and give those funds to a charter school. And of course, it's a poor black school that they're trying to take the money from. So that's the whole thing, of course, because that happens in real life. And it's probably, it happened in my state of Michigan. The high school I went to, just about all the high schools in my city, in the city of Detroit, are closed. Like, I went to Murray Wright High School, it's closed now. A lot of the schools have closed for whatever the reasons may be. Anywho, so, Mary Jane is happy about getting back in the field to, do some reporting. But she's like, but if I'm out in the field, who's going to be at the anchor desk? And then they kind of pan over to Danny's picture because it's going to be Danny. And, she, of course, is not okay with that. She's upset because she doesn't want Danny to get her job. And Kara's like, well, that's funny because when you came here, you basically came here to take I can't think of the lady who job she took. The other black lady, I can't think what her name is right now. But Mary J was like, well, no, that was in my contract. I was told I was coming here, and that would eventually be me. But Carrie's like, look, if you want to be, more than just an anchor who covers like red carpets and fashion and stuff like that, you have to be open to not always being at the desk. And Mary Jane understands that is true. Next, we see Mary Jane's father, Paul, opens the door. Well, no, somebody like knocks on the door. No, yeah, somebody knocks on the door, and it's an old friend of his named Frank. And they don't look like they too happy to see each other. Like, Frank look like he's happy to see Paul. Paul look like, what you doing here, bruh? Like, he know him, but he said like, bruh, what you doing here? They used to be old friends, but we can clearly see that something happened, and they have not or are not as close as they used to be. But he lets him, he like, I'm in town, and I just want to come, stop by and see an old friend. So he does let him in, and they're sitting down and they're talking, and we see her mom, Helen, come into the, come down, and when she sees the guy is in there, she kind of backs up to where she isn't seen, and she looks shocked, like, what he doing here? Hoppo, who this woman is? The kind of look she had on her face. And we see something happen between Frank and Helen. Clearly, something went on. And we know that Paul and this man Frank were friends. You can tell that within the whole scene. But they have not talked in years. Helen comes in. Hey, Frank. How you doing, Frank? And it's a quick little hello. And she leaves like, y'all should keep talking or whatnot. And, it's that whole thing of them still talking. So that was one whole scene. We see another scene where, Paul like, yeah, it was good seeing Frank, huh? He looks good for his old age. She's like, you not going to get me into talking about that. You so silly. And she giggles a little bit. He like, look, I'm just going to ask you outright. Did you know that your old lover was in town? And is that the reason you been on this whole health kick? And she's like, no. Being Frank, that's water under the bridge. He probably just wanted to come back to, to rekindle your friendship. He wants to be friends again. And, and everything. So, he like, okay, fine. So, I'm going to do their whole story outright. I'm going to do part of their story outright. At least these parts. We then see that, Paul comes back and he's like, Frank called and he wants us to go, see the old cars or something like that. It's like, oh, that'd be good. See, I told you he just wanted to be, see his old friend. That's all that it is. He like, well, okay, I guess I can do that. It's fine. Then she like, he was like, yeah, so we're going to do that and we're going to like have dinner and everything. So she's like, okay, that's cool. So the night they were supposed to go hang out, to go see these cars or whatever. Helen looking all cute. She got her hair done. She got a little makeup on. She dressed up all nice, and she in the kitchen cooking up a good little meal for her husband. And she's singing and, humming around the kitchen and everything. Like she real happy. Real, all over on the house. So Paul come in, like, oh, what you cook, making a big dinner for? Oh, I thought it would be nice to give you and Frank some food, so I'm making dinner so y'all can, eat before y'all go down and see the cars. And he like, oh, he called and he canceled. And he's like, well, no, actually, I called and I canceled. I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't feel like it. And she's like, oh, well, okay, if that's what you think is best. And he's like, yep, I'm happy you, agree with me. But you can tell she looks disappointed. She's kind of sad that she won't be seeing her ex-lover up in her house eating her goddamn pot roast. Paul walks away and she kind of just looks a little sad. So that was the ending part of their whole thing. Next we see MJ is on site, in these streets with the story of his school, and how the funding is being cut. And, Justin has also made it back in town in time to help produce the story. So he's on the scene with her. And, they lock eyes. She's like, I'm so happy to see you. He's like, yeah, I'm happy to see you. Of course, they don't hug or embrace because they're still, keeping their relationship, not much in the public eye. And they're kind of keeping it, to themselves or whatnot. So she's like, I'm almost just as happy to see you as I'm happy to be in the field. And we're like, okay, that's cool. So as Mary J is on Mary Jane is on the scene, interviewing people. We see that Danny is in the studio, talking to the board member. One part, I'm gonna go back to that part later. So, we see that Danny is interviewing a school board member who is supporting the whole thing of the school losing funding. And, in the interview, the producer usually gives you the questions to ask the guests. That's what has happened. So as Kara is coaching Danny to the questions that she's supposed to ask, Danny is playing nice and asking him all the nice questions as if what they're doing is nothing wrong with it, and kind of pushing her agenda, as I'll say. She's not asking any hard-hitting questions. She's basically not doing her job. She's kind of going off what her opinion is and asking questions based on that, and that's not what she's supposed to be doing. And Kara, of course, is getting pissed. And she's basically, she was making it seem like oh, well, isn't the school already failing? So it was just, you know how it be. So, Kara is upset about that. So, they shoot back to Mary Jane, who's at the protest at the other school, and things are getting kind of crazy because people are watching the interview that Danny is doing on television on their phone, so they can see that she's not taking them serious, that she's not asking the good questions, and she's not basically getting to the bottom of anything like they thought she would. I'm sorry, something was in my eye. She's not doing that. So the people in the crowd are getting pissed off. Like, y'all not taking it serious. This is our school. We don't want to lose our school. And Mary Jane is caught up in the whole mess of it, because it becomes a bit of a mess. You see one guy who's getting pushed over by the cops and being arrested. So Mary Jane is like, get that on camera, So they're recording that. People start tussling and fussing and fighting and everything, and she's in the middle of all of it. So she, Justin is like, Mary Jane, and she's like, Justin, and because they're on opposite sides, and it's getting kind of violent at this point. So you don't know if the other person is okay. So they're kind of calling out for each other, but only Mary Jane is on camera yelling, Justin. And, she sounds all like she just, and she's in disarray. She's in harm's way and everything. So they go to commercial because it's getting a little bit too crazy, too violent. But Kara, has an earpiece so she can hear Justin talking. And she's like, Justin, are you okay? But Justin has his earpiece out, so he can't hear Kara talking to him. And Justin's trying to get through to get to her, and the police is kind of holding him back because, of course, at this point, it's like a little mob riot type of thing. And he's like, you can't get through. It's just too crazy. She's like, my girlfriend's in there. I have to get through. He bypassed the cop, go around another way, and he rushes in to get her out. And he, man, when I say he kind of swooped in, cuffed her up, got her out, made a way for this woman to get out. It was very beautiful. It was a really, really good thing. And Kara is listening to all this happen. He's listening to, the distress in Justin's voice of him saying, my girlfriend's in there, and him going in to get her and getting her and making sure that she's okay. Yeah, Justin, come through for your beautiful black queen. Do it. Won't he do it? You know what I'm saying? So at that point, Ray Jane's like, they do a whole new segment where she's across the street. They have died things down a little bit, and she's letting them know, got a little bit out of hand. Everyone's okay here. I'm okay. You don't have to worry about it. Back to you in the studio. And, her mom was watching the show, and she's like, oh, thank God, she's okay. But who's Justin? Because, again, everyone heard Mary Jane yelling, Justin, calling out for help to Justin. So now everyone's wondering, well, who the fuck is Justin? Who was she calling out to? So there's a scene where Niecy is at the shop. And, a single mom comes in with her child. She's late for her appointment. And she's like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry I'm late. So much stuff has happened. And he's like, oh, it's okay. I'll start you. It's no problem. What's wrong? Why are you late? Well, girl, the bus didn't come, so I had to wait on my aunt to use her car. Then I had her car, but I got pulled over by the police because I didn't have a car seat for my child. So, I ended up getting a ticket for $300 because I didn't have a car seat. So she's like, well, girl, that's crazy. Yeah, So it's that whole scene of, of her in the shop. So that part cuts to Niecy going to the babysitter's house, the babysitter, and she has one of her old car seats. And the babysitter girl like, what you got that for? And the kid's too big for that. She's like, yeah, I know, but don't you have your old one too? And she's like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, so you have 2 old car seats. I'm going to help you start a home business. And the girl like, what are you talking about? And she was like, you can start a home business by renting out car seats. And she's like, well, who wants to pay for a car seat? She's like, you can charge them $30 to rent a car seat, because people would rather pay $30 to rent a car seat for a day versus having to buy one outright, or take the risk of driving around without a car seat and getting a $300 ticket. So she's like, it's basically a market for it, for young single mothers. And the girl like, that's a good idea. So, is that whole scene. We later see, I'm just going to cover this all up in one too. We later see the girl, Niecy comes back to the girl house, and the girl shows that she has a calendar, and she had people booked out for a week or two, renting car seats. And so Niecy's like, that's really good, but we're going to expand. She put a thing on Twitter, like, hey, if you have old car seats or gently used, my girl will buy them for you. Meaning, the more car seats we have, the more money you make. 2 car seats is only $60, but if you have 10 car seats, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole bunch of goddamn money. So, they want to have that whole thing. And the sitter was like, thanks so much for helping me out. No one has ever helped me do anything like this. And he's like, yeah, I'll be having all kind of suggestions and things us young moms can do. We need to stick together. So, clearly her next job or her endeavor, her life work is going to be helping single mothers. I can already see that coming. So yeah. The next thing that we see, Kara is checking Danny, because again, Danny did that whole interview and she was not listening to Kara. And Danny said, I didn't ask the questions because I didn't like them. They probably weren't even really fact. They were fake facts. And Kara's like, look, you can't put your own agenda out. This isn't your network. This isn't about you. You can't push your own ideas. You work for whatever the name of their company is, and you can't put out your ideas because people will think that's what the company believes and it's what you believe. And Danny's like, my opinion is what got me here, and if I'm in that chair, I'm gonna say what I believe. And Carol was like, well, let's see the next time that you're in that chair. And Danny didn't realize that she shot herself in the foot, by her trying to do what she wanted because she had the anchor chair for that moment. You don't realize that you fucked yourself over. You need to build yourself up into being in that anchor chair. So that way you're not only, because now they don't trust you. Because now, you went rogue and you're still a newbie. You're not even a real news person. You were a blogger person who, was online doing different things, and they hired you. But you have to take time to build up a reputation. Your fan base, boo-boo, is not going to carry that whole network. So we have that whole scene. Mary Jane's mom asked Niecy who was Justin. She's like, I know I paid for you to go up to New York. I can tell when someone's lying to me. Who is he? I know you know who he is. So she basically lets her grandmother know, well, yeah, it's a producer. She's dating him. And yes, that is who she broke up with Lee for. And her mom was like, oh my God, she's being foolish with her heart. I can't believe she's doing this. I need to call her and talk to her. Blah, 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 blah. And Niecy then shows Grandma a picture of Justin. And she's like, oh. Because as we know, Justin's a sexy little something. Trying to see what else I want to go over. Because it was just so much stuff that I really don't even want to go over. But, it's whatever. We do see when she's back at the office, Mary Jane is surprised to find out that, this who was Justin thing is trending. And, Aaliyah, the girl in PR, she's like, look, we can take advantage of this. This can get us more buzz. It can put you ahead of Danny. We just have to be proactive about it. And Mary Jane is like, well, I don't know yet. I don't know if Justin's ready for that. So I need you to do me a favor. I need you to look into Justin's financial history to see, what his net worth is. And she's like, why? And she's like, well, I basically, think he might be worth a lot of money, and I basically want to be sure it's on the up and up. So Aaliyah basically agrees to do it. You know, she's like, I'm discreet because I work in PR, so I know how to keep things a secret, so that's fine. But basically she wants to be sure it's not anything crazy before they put this whole Mary Jane and Justin as a thing on, you know, to make it IG official, as I would say. Mary Jane and Justin do have like a little sex scene and whatnot, and I'm only gonna bring this up because, you know, she walks out looking all sexy in her little sexy lingerie, and she gets her phone out first, and she's like messing with the music, and he's like, you know, I've been gone, you should be in the bed, blah 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 blah, and she's like, you know this. So as they're in the bed kissing, about to do, she's like, you know the Who's Justin hashtag got like 40,000 more tweets. And he's like, you know, this is already causing a issue between us. You know, I've been gone all this time, and you know, we up here talking about a hashtag. He's like, don't forget, you know, you have the real thing with you, and you know, they end up having sex. I wasn't gonna go over that too much. We do see the next. I'm sorry, my eye is itching, people. I'm sorry. We do see the next. Kara is able to get the board guy, the school board gentleman, to come back to interview, but this time with Mary Jane. And her and Justin will be co-producing this particular segment. And, you know, she lets Mary Jane know, you know, I think Justin is growing on me. You know, he's not as bad as I thought he would be. So, you know, we shall see how that works out. Kara and Justin are then in the producing room or whatever. And she's like, you know, if this show, you know, isn't great, you know, Garrett's going to be on my ass. And he's like, you know, it'll be great, but if it's not, you know, I'll have your back. So that was a moment between them two, so that people can, well, that, you know, just show that she's not hating him so much. Even though for me, it's weird for her to go from last episode where she was pissed off at Mary Jane, still hated Justin, and it was a whole issue. And this episode, her and Mary Jane are back chummy, and now she's, you know, she's not team Justin, but she's okay with Justin. I think there could have been one more episode in between the whole I hate you guys, I'm cool with you guys thing, but you know, it's TV, so you know, what do you know. Basically from the interview goes great. Mary Jane does find out the board member had like invested money in the school where he's trying to have the profits go. So it's like a conflict of interest. So it's basically some illegal, underhanded bullshit going on that we don't happen in the real world all the time. But she uncovered it, so that's a good thing. There's another scene where like Mary Jane and Justin is trying to go out to eat to get some lunch, as they usually do, and they're like walking through the hallway or whatever, and they get to the door and it's paparazzi everywhere, flicking pictures, because you know they are now famous and everyone trying to break the story of who's Justin. So Justin's like, you know, I'm the reporter, you know, I'm a producer, I'm never the story, I'm always working on the story, I don't want to be the story. And so she's like, you know, that's just a part of life when you are in this business. Sometimes, you know, you become the story. And he like, you know, well, can we just have it both ways? Can we be together but not be the story right now? So she's like, okay, fine. So they end up just having lunch inside. So, you know, that part is cool. We then see Mary Jane's mom gives her a call. And she's like, why did you leave for Justin? You know, why would you do that? I can't believe you would do that. You know, what's up with that? And Mary Jane is just honest with her mom. She's like, look, I know you wanted me to say we'll leave because he was, you know, a nice person and he was, you know, stable and all this other stuff. But she's like, Justin lights a fire in me that Lee didn't. And I didn't want to settle for someone who didn't light my fire, basically. She's like, Mom, you know, and her mother kind of cuts her off and finishes her sentence. She's like, he's complicated like you. And she's like, yeah, you know, absolutely. And then she's like, Mary Jane was about to explain a little bit more, and her mom was like, you know what? You don't have to say anything else. You know, I completely get it. You know, I understand. And she's like, Mom, this isn't the conversation I, you know, thought we would have. You know, are you okay? Is everything okay? You're just talking different. And she's like, no, you know, I just wanted to hear the truth from your own mouth, and I'm happy that you're happy. And they end that conversation. So when they end that conversation, the next scene is Helen dressed and she's going to a door. And she knocks on the door and she's at Frank's hotel door, her ex-lover. And she's like, you a straight up son of a bitch, Frank. You're a straight up son of a bitch, Frank. And he's like, she was like, I was going to start a life with you 40 years ago. We were going to be together. And he was like, woman, we both know why that didn't happen. And he like, what do you want me to say? And she kind of chuckles and scoffs a little bit. And she's like, nothing. I've said my piece. And I think it's time that I go. I mean, it was a short scene, but I'm wondering, Mary Jane's mom must have had the same situation how Mary Jane is. But my question is Paul, who was Mary Jane's father, is Paul Lee or is Paul Justin? Like, did she leave the person who lit her fire, Frank, to be with her husband, Paul Lee, because it was safer? Or was it the other way around? So I'm trying to figure out, what did she do? Like, what's going on, Mama Helen? What's going on? So that was an interesting thing. So the ending scene of the episode was, Mary Jane and Justin about to leave again, and the paparazzi are still there, and they're kind of having a conversation about, do we go out? How do we do this? Justin's like, this is crazy. I have my career. It takes a lifetime to build a career, but you can damage it very easily. I don't want to become, satire, a punchline. I don't want to be just a celebrity couple. I want to be a journalist. I want to be a producer. And, she's like, look, I take responsibility for whatever happens next. But we have, we can do this and we can not do this, but are you in this with me? And he's like, let's do it. And they walk out hand in hand. And, it's a little story like, who is Justin? The story is finally solved. Justin is the producer. It's like a whole little story. So that was the whole episode. That's why I'm saying I don't know if I'm still liking the season, solely because sometimes I feel like the stories they're discussing takes over the story. But I think that's also what made Being Mary Jane great in the beginning. But I also feel like they just keep introducing new characters. I don't know. I mean, you don't want a story to get stale. You don't want that. But I don't know. I have to see how the season finishes out to see if it's working up to something, and that's going to be a big payoff. I mean, the episode was good. I'm not saying it was a bad episode. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I do love the show, but I just feel like it's missing something, and I don't know what that is. So, until next time, people, I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and until next time, peace.